Welcome back to a live reading of The Effigy of Love, as written by Tony Sherblom and read by Juho Hankela. This is Chapter 5, To Catch a Dream. Meet they did, but in a wicked way. Hendrik spent the whole night trashing where he lay, awake in remembrance of her beauty and her absence. His mind fought a vicious battle with his heart. The whole creature he was so beguiled with was indeed so unbelievable, it might as well have been lifted out of a story. Her straight, snow-white hair reaching past her breast was like an illustrious waterfall in contrast to his black curls, like tar running down his scalp, futilely fighting against gravity. Her enchanting green eyes were like captured starfire, infinitely deep and glimmering with warmth, unlike his stone-grey pools of yesterday's rain. Her immaculate white skin radiating with a warm golden beauty opposed to his cold ashen complexion like the remnants of a burnt-out fire trampled by hundreds of boots 100 times. Yes, compared to her, everything else was ugly, even he, which is why I never found her. Restless, melancholic, and unable to sleep, Hendrik sat up in the bed and let out a sigh. The battle still raged on inside of him, his mind hurling insults at itself while his heart pounded him bloody, and there would be no victor. Fighting against yourself is a losing game. He looked over to the window by his desk. Through a slit in the blue curtains he could see a rare sight far off in the distance. The moon hanging low, like a prowling cat by the horizon, shining with resplendent radiance. The light silently crept in through the window and softly touched his left arm and leg. The day cover at the bottom end of his bed, and at the far side of the room it revealed something long since forgotten. An old friend from his past life. His easel. There it still stood, after all these years, hidden behind the cupboard, slightly tilted as if peeking forth from the shadows to get a glimpse of the pale bright light, and the boy sick with longing. Hendrik felt a sudden rush of warmth inside of him as he looked at his dusty friend. It wasn't the kind of warmth that fire or comfort offers. No, he instantly recognized this warmth. He had felt it 2 weeks ago. Of course, he thought, as he jumped to his feet and threw the curtains open. Though the pale moonlight revealed but a dreary grey landscape on the other side of the window, Hendrik was too happy to let anything ruin this moment. Wasting no time, he pulled a warm cloak over his shoulders and headed for the easel. He gently ran his fingers over its edge. The smooth wooden texture beneath the dust felt familiar, like the touch of a good friend. He smiled, thinking back on all the days spent painting and drawing as a child. The feelings of joy and exhilaration in creating something out of nothing, enjoying the fruits of his soul as they danced over the canvas in 100 shades of red, blue, and yellow. It had been the most beautiful and naive time spent alone with his thoughts, or with Myrtle, that lovable old woman, before everything had been replaced by the greyness of adulthood, the responsibilities of nobility, the demands of the castle, his prison. Hendrik shuddered at the thoughts and took a deep breath, wanting nothing more than to leave it all behind and be in the present moment. "I'm sorry I've been absent," Hendrik whispered as he lifted his wooden friend onto the floor, dusted the worst grey of it, and let the light of the moon reveal all the paint and ink stains. Memories long since dried. It brought a sadistic, sly smile to his face, thinking back on how his father and mother both had hated the state Hendrik usually left the easel in. Paint running across its frame like scars on a soldier, spots here and there like the fur of a mongrel. Though they had always demanded he kept the easel clean, he had rarely bothered to. That was where he had drawn the line. He wouldn't wipe away a single stain, for to him every spot and splatter, every little mistake was more than that. They were signs of progress and learning, of beautiful, chaotic creativity. It was the one thing he was in control of, mostly because they never checked if he had done the trivial task or not. But it was his domain, nonetheless. Dear old Myrtle, empathetic beyond comprehension, had sensed there was something special in the way Hendrik regarded the stains. Thus, she had burdened his secret and never mentioned the neglect to his parents. In fact, it had been her idea to duck the easel behind the cupboard to begin with. Maybe she too saw some kind of beauty in them. Maybe she too thought the ink spots and paint drops added a little something to the grey world, something that it was in much need of. Now, when Hendrik's whole life had turned into a grey pool of despair, seeing those old stains made him happy beyond belief that he had dared to oppose his parents, if only with this one thing. It has been far too long, friend. Let's right this wrong. Hendrik turned to the cupboard. Opening the doors revealed a dozen canvases of different sizes, brushes and palettes, glass containers of paint, quills and inkwells, coals and rags, paint thinner and other chemicals. He stroked his clean-shaven chin as a storm of doubt and questions ran through his mind. The task he was facing was daunting, nigh impossible. How do I do her beauty justice? Do I paint her alone or the whole scene? Is it even possible to capture her essence? What if... As his thoughts ran deeper and bleaker with hesitation, his heart grew warmer and started pounding harder as it fought against the dark thoughts. Disregarding doubt, he closed his eyes and let his heart choose for him. A canvas the size of a pillow. He put it on the easel and regarded it. Yes, it was the perfect size. It could easily be hidden, yet was still large enough for all the intricate details. In the silence of the night, he could hear her pounding within him, waiting to be released. Hendrik's smile lit up the room. The time for action had presented itself, a time when he would give up all thoughts and let his heart take the reins. The moonlight bounced off the surface of the canvas, turning it into an embracing, warm white as it sat there, patiently waiting for Hendrik. Watching the empty canvas from corner to corner, he felt as if he was staring into the sun through a celestial window. A prickling sensation in his bosom started spreading as he realized that the pale warmth reminded him of... Suddenly, like a stroke of magic or a fit of madness, he saw her emerge from the center of the blank canvas as if walking out from the infinite to meet him. Her steps were light and careful, and her eyes darted around the emptiness as if looking for something or someone. Hendrik's heart started racing as he realized he was indeed standing in her presence. I won't lose you ever again. Without taking his eyes off the canvas, the fear of losing her tearing at his mind and heart, he plunged his hand into the cupboard, grabbed a palette and filled it with all and any paint his hands touched upon. Red, blue, and yellow dripped to the floor like a melted fairy tale as he gripped the brush tight. Whatever would happen next, he was ready.